So here you have a wonderful example of Starmer of the left and Trump of the right, but the direction is the same. Why? Because the same force with the same outcome direction agenda is working through both of them. You know, if you're a journalist, especially an alternative journalist, then the one thing you must not have is a political side. Because what happens, we've seen it through this Trump era, especially through 2024, 2025, whereby they filter how they present something on the basis of whether their side is saying it or whether the other side is saying it. And so you've got people, take Alex Jones as an example, who is saying now he wants to see the feds kicking doors down, after railing against the feds kicking doors down, going way back, where there's support for, he says, for regime change in Venezuela. We might get into why Venezuela and why Greenland later as well. And supporting taking out what are almost certainly fishing boats that do not have the capacity, the fuel capacity to even get to America, that have to get refueled so many times. And a Trump regime that is killing people, not naming who they are, producing no evidence that they're running drugs. And when two people survive an attack, instead of putting them on trial in America for running drugs, they send them back to their home countries in South America. Why? Because they don't want us to know who they really are for obvious reasons. So when I'm seeing the so-called alternative media that's been campaigning in a certain way and against certain things, suddenly now supporting them just because their man says they have to happen, is staggering to me. It's not journalism, and it's certainly not alternative journalism.
But I'm guessing you have a few opinions on him and the MAGA movement, and also the extremely divisive politics that we're seeing around the world.
Well, I've got an enormous amount of abuse, actually since 2016, before Trump became president for the first time, when, I mean, apart from having fraud stamped to his forehead, I couldn't think of anything more obvious before me than Donald Trump is not what he claims to be. If you look at his history, which I lay out in the roadmap, he's been fundamentally part of the swamp. And in 2016, it was drain the swamp. Well, it's very difficult to drain a swamp when you're swimming in it, mate. And so the easiest way to scam people is to tell them what they want to hear, because already the door is swinging open, because people want what you're saying to be true. And because people also overwhelmingly, instead of looking in the mirror at the way forward, they look for someone outside of themselves to be a savior, to do it for them. So along comes Donald Trump in 2016. He's telling people what they want to hear. He's telling that constituency what it wants to hear. And people are buying it. They're seeing him as the savior. And I saw him as a con man. It was like, to me, he was so transparent, it was unbelievable. And I got a lot of abuse for calling him out. And the same in this year, 2024, the election campaign. He came in early this year. Again, the abuse was off the scale, because I was saying, this guy's a fraud. This guy is not going to do what he says he's going to do. And he's come in, and it's taken only a few months before a lot of people who, in the so-called alternative media, who promoted him to power big time, for them to say, he's not what we thought he was, and he's not doing what we thought he would do. Well, hold on. Some of us saw that in 2016. What took you so long? And we're now in a situation with this central core of the alternative media that gets all the algorithmic promotion and the funding, where some of them are calling for things because Trump is saying he wants to do it, that they have spent, those that have been in the alternative media for long enough, many of them haven't, but they have been calling for things and supporting things that they have been railing against before. And the only difference is Trump says this is what should happen, so they support it. Well, hold on. Either it's right or it's not. It doesn't matter whether it's Trump saying it or the left saying it. It's either the right thing to do or it's not. And it's no good saying it's not the right thing to do when the left is saying it or whatever, and then say, oh no, it's the right thing to do now because Trump's saying it. It's unbelievable to me. And, you know, if you're a journalist, especially an alternative journalist, then the one thing you must not have is a political side. Because what happens, we're seeing it, we've seen it through this Trump era, especially through 2024, 2025, whereby they filter how they present something on the basis of whether their side is saying it or whether the other side is saying it. And so you've got people, take Alex Jones as an example, who is saying now he wants to see the feds kicking doors down, after railing against the feds kicking doors down, going way back, where there's support for, he says, for regime change in Venezuela. We might get into why Venezuela and why Greenland later as well. And supporting taking out what are almost certainly fishing boats that do not have the capacity, the fuel capacity to even get to America, that have to get refueled so many times. And a Trump regime that is killing people, not naming who they are, producing no evidence that they're running drugs. And when two people survive an attack, instead of putting them on trial in America for running drugs, they send them back to their home countries in South America. Why? Because they don't want us to know who they really are for obvious reasons. So when I'm seeing the so-called alternative media that's been campaigning in a certain way and against certain things, suddenly now supporting them just because their man says they have to happen, is staggering to me. It's not journalism, and it's certainly not alternative journalism. See, what's happened since COVID is, if I'm this global cult, this global network of secret societies with an interlocking mission control that I've been exposing all these decades. If I'm looking at COVID, you just talked about that period, then I would say two things. One, you are seeing people starting to see, thanks to the alternative media, that actually there is some kind of conspiracy going on, and there is some kind of coordination to a particular end going on, because they're seeing that when the COVID card was played, suddenly almost every country in the world, certainly in the Western world, responded the same. It's like so essentially coordinated then. So they were getting their information from the alternative media. So we have to start looking at how we get control of this situation, which we are losing control of. And then number two, you ask, okay, how do we get control of their perceptions? Do we do it by using the mainstream media, as we always have, to get people to see the world the way we want them to see it? Well, no, we can't, because these emerging awakening people, they have absolute contempt for the mainstream media. Of course they do. They would never believe what they're told anymore by the BBC, MSNBC, Fox News. So what are they listening to? Well, obviously they're listening to the alternative media that's kind of emerged. There was no alternative media when I started out. I watched it appear. So what we have to do, they would say, and they did, we got to get control of that. We got to get control of the means through which we can get to the perceptions of those that are pushing back. And it's a constituency, a pushback constituency that's getting bigger. We have to get them on board. So what we're going to do is we're going to put people into that arena who are going to come out of the mainstream, and they are going to hijack, through algorithmic support, funding, whatever, that central arena where people are getting their information from, the ones that we really want to take back control of. So you had this influx of people out of the mainstream, and suddenly I'm watching, because I've been doing this a long time, like coming into my 36th year. I'm seeing stuff that was in my books in the 1990s. Now it's breaking news. And if you're kind of relatively new to this whole concept, you will have probably no idea that it was in my books in the 1990s, this stuff. So you do think it's breaking news, and you think these new stars of the alternative media are really breaking new ground, when actually they're repeating stuff that the people have been around for a long time, were pioneers of long ago. And what's happened as a result of that is that the alternative media central core has regressed. Like I say, when I started out, there was no alternative media. There was a few disparate individuals who were trying to get information out as best they could. When I started out, if you were putting an event on, you didn't post something on the internet. Basically, there was no internet worth the name. You stood in the street and handed out leaflets. You know, that's where how far back it goes. But what we kind of, as the alternative media emerged, and I was delighted, more the merrier, there was this understanding that we live in one-party states. Actually, I would say, and I make that case in the roadmap, we live in a one-party world ultimately, but we live in one-party states because there is a force in the background. I say it's really, really much deeper in the background than people realize, but there is a force. Some people call it the deep state. The deep state is just an expression of this force. It's not the force in its original form. But there is a force that works not through one party. It doesn't work through the left or work through the right or work through the center. It works through all of them. So you have a situation where the left and the right will use different rhetoric, and they will use different excuses. But when you analyze the outcomes are basically the same. For instance, there's a common outcome now, which is the takeover of human society by artificial intelligence. This is going to take, if we continue to allow this, it's going to take human control onto a level, perceptual control, thought control, emotional response control, onto a level never before seen in known human history. And so you have, for instance, you have the government of the UK, currently headed by Keir Starmer, who is so called of the left, and you have the Trump government of the right, and they're both pushing the AI dystopia agenda, the AI digital dystopia agenda. And what's kind of interesting, once you fall for this this delusion that the two parties are not ultimately controlled by the same force, you fall for the left-right puppet show, the left-right theater, to the point where Trump, in power of the right, uses the left as an excuse to impose tyranny and to impose censorship in many and various ways. In Britain and other countries of the same political persuasion, you have Starmer using the right as the excuse to impose censorship, tyranny, and what we've seen with the extraordinary jailing and prosecuting of people for internet posts. So here you have a wonderful example of Starmer of the left and Trump of the right, but the direction is the same. Why? Because the same force with the same outcome direction agenda is working through both of them. And what's happened to the alternative media, and I say it's been done purposely from the manipulative point of view, is it's regressed from it's a one-party state, same force working through both, to the deep state is the Democrats. The deep state is the left. And so what that has done, and it's happened in Britain of the left, and it's happened in America of the right, it's created this division between right and left. And they're fighting each other, heading towards possibly civil war. And in this country, the same is going on. And yet, if people just symbolically looked up, they'd see the same hand holding the strings of both sides.
Whoa, spot on again, people. Spot on. But I watched the interview, and I was just reflecting like, it's so sad, people. It's so sad, cause yeah, people who say David Icke can predict the future, great predictor, and fortune teller. He can literally see the future based on his research. But that's it, people. That's the sad part. Because David Icke been warning about these people, and it. Alright, take for President Trump for instance. What? Him have what, 3 more years? 3 more years, no, people. 2 term. Oh, Trump get 2 term, people. How is that even possible? We see what him do 2016 onwards. Then he come back again, even though we know say the Democratic agenda was diabolical. Crazy. Hey, crazy movements they were dealing with, people. Crazy. The agenda was moving so fast. It was crazy. So, we kind of get why people, right, didn't have a choice, but we have to move past that, people. We can get that again. We have to move past that. Because there's no way you can go vote with Trump out doing what he done. So, yes, don't choose Democrat. Don't choose Republican. Don't choose the left in UK. Don't choose the right in UK. Jamaicans, don't choose JLP. Don't choose PNP. Same madness. And that's it, people. That's how I view it. I've never voted. Never will. As my talk say, me nah dirty up my hand with no ink. Cause that we do in Jamaica, people. Dip your hand in them dirty ink and put fingerprint and mark whatsoever. There's some me even know, cause me never do it. Never try to do it, but you ever hear about it. But that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, people. Not voting for none. Stop giving your power away. That's what we've been saying. That's the main goal here, people. People have solutions. That's a solutions. Because that's what enough people saying. So, David, what can we do? What can we do? Stop voting. Don't vote. That's just it. That's your power. That's a power move, people. Yeah, people might say you're not doing nothing, but believe me, that's a power move right there. Yeah. And that's just the facts. That's just the facts, people. We have to start moving in that direction if we want to effect some change, people. And that's just it. That's just it, people. We're in that stage. We're in that phase. But we have to start do some crucial things, people. Don't choose the Democrat. Don't choose Republican. People say them at information, journalistical researchers, and still depend on political bias. They will like say, but you cannot have a political bias and be a journalist. It's crazy. It just not gonna make no sense. Because you're gonna cover, you're gonna tell lie, you're gonna hide the truth to make your side, your party look brilliant, look good. And that's just the facts. That's why politics is like politics, because you have to tell lie, you have to distort the truth just to make your guy look brilliant, your girl look brilliant. And that's just how it works, people. That's just how it works. So, burn politics, burn politics. Stop take part in a political game, people. It's controlled. Look at the strings. Look at the strings. So I'll leave it right here, people. Almost 3 hour interview this now, people. It's almost a 3 hour blockbuster, you know. It's like a movie, you know, and they will like speak with Brian Rose, you know, London Real. People want to check out it. You can go up on the London Real YouTube. Did it 5 hour, but you know you have to skip it. It then present like if first last 2 or 3, first last 2, and the one where David I get bad offer YouTube, about 3 to 2 interviews. We have to just skip out here and go see the latest one. But 2 hours in, more than 2 hours in, you see. So, yeah, it's there.